Okay, we've already looked at the domain and range of this function graphically. We're now going to try to find the domain and range algebraically. I will be honest, finding the domain and range of a function graphically is pretty dishonest because we usually find the domain and range to see what the graph looks like and not the other way around. So here we go. What am I going to do? Remember that the domain is the set of x values that you're allowed to plug in. Well, the only thing I have to have here is that the inside of the square root function here has to be bigger than or equal to 0, and the bottom can't be 0. So let's take care of the first part first. Let's write down that we want to solve this inequality. Now remember, that is a rational function over on the left-hand side, and we know how to do this. We set the top equal to 0, we set the bottom equal to 0, and then we put those numbers on a number line. I want to put the x here like this. I'll put just the name of the function like this. And I want to put, let's see here, I put 0 and 2. So I put 0 and 2. It helps a lot, by the way, if we just put in something so that we can see what we get when we plug in those numbers. When I plug in 0, I get 0. When I plug in 2, it's undefined. So I'm going to just cross it off like that and take care of that. Now what we're supposed to do, if we're doing this the shorter way, is we pick one x value from each interval, and we have 3. We call those test values. So I'm going to put, how about x equals -1 here? I'll put it in a little box so I can see that's a test value. X equals 1, like this. That's a test value. And how about just something like x equals 3? Although I will often use something like x equals 100. There. Now we can see it. Now, when I take -1 and I put it in the top and I put it in the bottom, I get -1 on top, -3 on bottom. So it's minus on top, minus on bottom. That gives a plus right here. When I plug 1 in for x, 1 in for x, 1 in for x, I get positive on top, negative on bottom. So I get that. And when I plug in 3, I get 3 on top, 1 on bottom. That's positive again. Now what did I want to get? I wanted to get answers that were bigger than or equal to 0. So let me just put braces here. I'll pick a different color to draw a conclusion. Now what are my conclusions here? I can see that when x is less than or equal to 0, the answers are positive. So I have to at least include those. I also have to include numbers that are bigger than or, no, not equal to, just bigger than 2. So I go like this. And I think that's going to work. In fact, it's just box that in. And that would work for the domain. Those are all the x values I'm allowed to plug in. That's it. Now, let's take care of the range. So I'll leave the function up. We'll erase what's there. And now we want to find range. Actually, we can see this function here. Function, where are you? See if I can get the focus. There you go. Focusing. And now I want range. Now, when we found domain, we had to have y over here by itself and x is over here, and we just asked ourselves, what x values can we plug in? In order to find range, we have to reverse the situation. I have to solve for x and then ask myself, what y's can we plug in? So I'm going to solve for x. This takes a little bit of doing. It's going to review a lot of algebra that you had. I'm going to square both sides. So I'm going to get y squared. I'm going to get x over x minus 2 like this. I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 2. So I'm going to get y squared x minus 2y squared equals x like this. We saw a problem the other day where this is actually linear in x. So we can solve for x. I'm going to throw this x over here, and I'm going to throw the y squared over there. So I'm going to get y squared x minus x equals 2y squared. move this up a little so we can finish this maybe. I'm now going to pull out the x. So I get x times y squared minus 1 equals 2y squared. And then we'll finish it up here, right there. I'm going to get x equals 2y squared over y squared minus 1. Now remember how we did domain? We had y in terms of x, and then we asked ourselves what x's can we plug in. Now how are we going to do range? We're going to write x in terms of y while we've done that. And all we have to ask is, what y values can I plug in now? Well, I can plug in anything that doesn't make the bottom 0. We can see that the only thing that makes the bottom 0 is y equals plus or minus 1. So not allowed is just y is plus or minus 1. And so if I'm going to try to draw a conclusion, we'll try to put it in a different color. I'll say range. Yeah, I can see that. All y values that are not equal to plus or minus 1. And put that in a green box. And we're done.